SCPs, there's many, and no matter do you love them or hate them, the truth is some have always hit the gym harder than the other ones and are therefore stronger and better. But today I'm here to rank them based on not only how strong they are, but also how fun they are to play in the current state of the game. And after the complete rework of heavy containment, trust me that the state of the game has changed a lot, and I mean a lot. Some of the historically known weakest SCPs now dominate, and the usually undefeatable SCPs have kind of fallen off. But enough yapping and let's get right into it. Firstly, we got a skeleton. Now this guy is probably one of the most unique SCPs. He's the only SCP who spawns in light containment and can disguise himself as any person who he kills, which is a really fun concept, or well, for the person who's playing him. For everybody else it will just be a complete game ruiner. Now I personally always despise this guy because like you're telling me this motherfucker can spawn right next to my unarmed civilian ass, and that he could be among any of my teammates at any time, and to make things worse he's also apparently some lost child of Darth Vader, since he can literally grab you with his hand across the whole room or through a door using the force. So yeah, on paper, haha, funny Halloween Among Us, but in reality this guy can go fucking kill me. But you may ask, how strong is he? And well, he's actually pretty powerful on servers with a low to medium player count, aka up to 20 people. Not only because he can genocide the unarmed civilians early on, but also because he gains 8 HP for every hit he does, which means that the smaller groups of armored people may have a hard time damaging him. However, on servers with 25 players or god forbid 30 plus players, this guy will get his teeth kicked in so hard he'll wish he just stayed in Among Us. His 15 damage per hit ass will be completely powerless against the hordes of MTF, and he will probably die in like 10 seconds. In theory, he could be sneaky and take out only alone players, but let's be real, the odds of that working out are extremely low. And meanwhile, his teammates who are missing the support of an extra SCP teammate will die. Overall, this guy is rarely fun or powerful, and the only reason he isn't going to D tier is because he's good at low player count servers, so yeah, I guess it's his lucky day as he'll get on C tier. Next up we got SCP-99, everyone's favorite due to her strength and fun to play concept. Yeah, I'm kidding, the only reason she has friends is because of that mass. Now, she was always a relatively mid SCP, not too strong nor weak, and if played correctly, she could cause major damage. But you see, her main weapon is her speed and stamina, and before you could just close 100 doors in her face until she gets tired and there was nothing she could do. But after 14.0 dropped with massive corridors and sketchy corners, she's been completely reborn. She can climb up to random spots to catch you off guard by jumping right onto your face, or she can just move around silently, and if she finds you, good luck escaping because there's now no doors to save you. Her biggest weakness for now is the micro HID, since for some reason most of the time you won't even hear it coming, and you'll just get jump scared and fried. But I assume this will be fixed eventually, if not already by the time I upload this video. Overall, I'm glad she got some justice from this update. Before it, she felt like more of a support side character whilst the big boys do the job, but now she can actually be extremely lethal on her own, well, assuming she primarily sticks to heavy. Her voice stealing feature, even though we've all used it 1000 times, is honestly still pretty funny to mess around with, so yeah, I'd say she's worthy of a solid B tier. Next up we got SCP-173. Now this guy, even though he's the OG SCP everybody loves, the truth is, he is the definition of mid. He's always been decent, and when combined with SCP-079 in heavy, he was an unstoppable killing machine. But now there's so much he can do when 3 people can just stare at him across the hole and unload 100 rounds into him, or even worse, use a literal particle genocider. Don't get me wrong, SCP-173 is not a bad SCP. He's the ideal scouting SCP and nuke diffuser, as he can go around the whole facility in seconds with his breakneck speeds ability, and can also help create really good choke points with his devastating poops. Like, the SCP engineers had to create a whole ass underground waterfall just so this guy can continue taking a shit every day. But just like the skeleton, he'll dominate against lower amount of players, and especially those who are unarmed and alone. But against big groups of MTF, he's completely powerless, and he's just resisting the unavoidable doom. Unless he has an SCP-096 teammates, then it's a different story. But yeah, overall, unfun and fair SCP to play against or as. Now honestly, I don't know where to put this guy. He's better than the skeleton, but worse than 99, so I guess I'll just put him in his own tier between C and B tier. Anyways, next up we got SCP-079, 173's best friend. Now he always used to be an absolute top G and powerhouse of the SCP team, even with all of the nerfs he's received. But I'm pretty sure we can all agree his biggest nerf was the heavy containment rework. Because like this guy's whole thing is haha, I left click and right click and you can literally do absolutely nothing besides die. However, now there's very few areas where he can effectively lock people in or cut them off. Sure, there's still a decent amount of doors, Tesla gates, and even these big ass bulkheads every now and then, but this is merely a fraction of his power before this rework. Light containment and entrance zone remained untouched, and he has plenty of doors there, but the amount of action that happens in these zones is like 8 times lower than in heavy containment, which means with his main weapon severely handicapped, it only leaves him with blackouts and his reconnaissance abilities. Like, being able to tell your teammates where enemies are at all times is extremely important, but the sad reality is most most of the players are unable to properly scout and support their teammates, which leads to the SCP team being much weaker and unable to keep up with the rapid respawn wave. So I think I'll give him some kind of an A- rating, and depending how good or bad you are at playing him, this can change between S and C tier. But yeah, overall an A-. Next up we got the Flamingos. Now do I really have to say anything? Now these guys are fun to play, and even though they're pretty OP, they can be dealt with if you know how to. Usually a tactical micro HID or suicide bombing should do the trick. Their power is in numbers, so if they don't stick together, especially near to the alpha, they will be useless. But a coordinated horde of these guys can and will wipe out everybody in the facility. Anyways, I'm pretty sure these guys are almost everyone's favorite, and they're definitely worthy of an S tier both in strength and fun. Next up we got SCP-049. Now this poor doctor was considered the worst SCP in the game for like the whole duration of the game's existence. But let me tell you, as more and more time passed, the tables have finally turned. His biggest weakness, just like 99's, was well that you could just close doors on him 100 times, which will make his abilities and even his zombies completely useless. But now you literally can't do that anymore, not to mention that these zombies these days can easily reach up to 500 plus HP, which when combined with their ability to go fast when this meter fills up can easily be lethal for any human that are alone, even if they're armed. Like trust me, you're gonna be backing up whilst unloading your whole magazine into him, and he'll just continue to catch up completely unfazed and beat your ass. Unless you can find a few doors or an elevator to avoid them. Back in my days when I saw one zombie as an MTF, I would just start pissing myself laughing at the poor thing for being the shittiest SCP in the game, and will just redirect him to the local Tesla gate so I don't have to waste bullets. And hell, they will thank me for the instructions as they're aware they're completely powerless. But now, unless you're careful, you'll easily find yourself out of sprint whilst getting chased by this guy, and if there's multiple of them supported by 049 himself, or even worse than SCP-079, let me tell you that you're in some pretty big trouble. Unless you got lots of friends and firepower. Okay, I'm sure we all get the point now, I'll stop yapping about the zombies. But 049 himself is also a massive threat now, since if he locks onto you with his speed boost ability, your doom is guaranteed, since there's no way you're gonna be outrunning him. He can strike from anywhere with great speed and integrate you into his zombie horde, which by the way is the key to surviving the massive hordes of MTF, especially if he gives them Hume Shield with his second ability, or brings them back to life once again after they die. Overall, if played correctly, this guy is an absolute menace and nightmare to face in heavy containment, and honestly, fighting off and dying to hordes of zombies is much more fun compared to just getting wrecked by an 096 who simply spams left click. So I'm happy and proud after all the years to give 049 and solid A tier. And speaking of 096, I think it's time we talk about him. Now I often hear nerds say, well, actually 096 is a terrible SCP, you can just look down to avoid him and can easily kill him once his rage ends, or just use a micro HID. And yeah, that is true, but only if the 096 and his team have zero fucking brain cells. Any competent 096 and SCP team know that the formula to murdering the whole server is to tank damage for the 096 until his rage starts, then to follow and kill alongside him as he completely tears apart any group with a few attacks. And then when his rage is about to end, he simply goes back to his teammates and hides behind them until he's ready to rage again. So if the SCPs know what they're doing, and especially if they have a combo of 173 and 096, it's literally Joe over for you. And bonus points for the SCPs if your team is a bunch of pussies who just look down or try to run away. Sure, he's completely harmless if you look down whilst he's alone, and you can elevator bomb him just like any other SCP if they're stupid. But as long as he has even one SCP near him to support him, there's nothing you can do besides overwhelm them with your sheer fire and manpower, which often servers with low player counts don't have. So it should be obvious that the skinny crackhead XUC looking motherfucker remains the strongest SCP in the game and definitely on top of S tier. Hold on though, real quick, before I go on to the next SCP, I'd really appreciate if you click this button right here to stay up to date with the latest SCP strategies and other epic SCP content. And also because I have Hubert right next to me as we speak, and he said he'll buff 096 even more if you don't subscribe, so yeah. Anyways, and the last but not least we got SCP-106. Now this guy has quite a fun history. He went from being a Terminator with a million HP to then being weak as fuck and then being mid as fuck, and now he's honestly pretty strong, if not borderline OP. Now I talked about this in one of my previous videos, but this guy basically has no cooldown on his teleport ability, which by the way gives him a speed boost after he emerges, which basically leads to this guy being in the ground or teleporting around like a supersonic groundhog 24/7. Now is this a bad thing? Well, kind of. I'm fully in support of buffing this guy since he is supposed to be the second deadliest animal in the facility. But I feel like this rework was executed badly. Sure, I get he's supposed to be a hunter predator who can go through walls and emerge anywhere, but like this slow of an cooldown is criminal. I've seen this guy delayed around on the surface zone probably like 100 times now. He's the last SCP standing, and instead of dying like the rest, he just dips underground, pops out, tries to avoid the bullets, maybe grabs one unlucky guy, and then right back into the ground he goes. Then he repeats this for like 6 minutes straight until an additional 20 people spawn, so he literally has nowhere to go without getting absolutely obliterated. And forget about ever using the micro-Hage ID on him, like that's literally impossible to happen unless he's an idiot and exits the ground right into your face. But with this considered, I'd say he's now a solid 8 here, since if you play this guy correctly, you can play hide and seek with MTF and slowly by yourself take out a whole MTF spawn wave. Though if the MTF are well coordinated and refuse to split up, then you'll probably need some teammates to help you out. Anyways, do you agree with my ratings of the SCPs? Make sure to let me know in the comments, but that will be it for today's SCP video. Thank you a lot for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.